I honestly can't believe that this episode is the end of year 3 of the podcast. Like, how is that possible? And so that means that the next time I record, we have to throw a party because it will be our podiversary. I think that's right. And I think that's wild. I can't even. All right, well, let's get into it. Take 70. What's good, peacemakers? Welcome back to another episode of the Piece4PeaceCrafting Podcast. I'm Michael, and this is my crafty corner of the YouTube universe. If you would like to find me or follow me on other social media, you can do so by following me as Piece4PeaceCrafting over on Instagram and Threads, Piece4PeaceCraft over on Ravelry, and if you like music, you can follow along the playlist that goes with this podcast at Piece4PeaceCrafting Podcast Playlist over on Spotify. I think that's it. Hey everyone, how are y'all doing? It's been 2 weeks. Crazy. I feel like in the last episode, I was trying to... Was that just the last episode? It was. In the last episode, I was trying to pronounce the month August, and I said Argust, because pirates. And yeah, someone commented and said, yeah, that seems quite fitting because it seems like pirates came and stole the month of August from us. To which I had to respond, so true. Also, they came back to take September because how is it the end of September already? I am confused. What the what? Yeah, this is crazy. So, right, I think if I'm looking at calendars correctly, which, let's be honest, I could very well not be. I think today is... that would be the 30th, which is next week. And then the week after that is the beginning. Yeah, I think the next episode is our podiversary. That's wild to me. Anyway, my 2 weeks have... I couldn't even tell you where they went. They've happened. They've happened. That's all I have to say about that. I feel like it just is spiraling to the end of the year, and I hate to say that the holidays are here, but the holidays are like here. Like, I was in Target, and they are, granted, this seems appropriate, they're setting up for like fall, because I think this episode actually is coming out on the first day of fall, here in the Northern Hemisphere. So they're like putting out all the fall decorations, all the spooky decorations. And then someone told me that they were in a store and they had the winter holiday stuff out. And I was just... I can't. But you know what? I'm happy for everyone that like loves decorating for winter early. You do you. Whatever brings you joy, right? Yeah, so things have been happening. This episode I feel is going to be wonky, but it probably won't be. I say that and then you guys were like, what are you talking about? Like, it was a normal episode. Good for you. So a couple things that we want to touch base on today. I have one FO, 2 whips, and I feel like I'm forgetting something low-key. And then 2 things that I randomly started plotting for. So we'll talk a little bit about that. You all can give me some feedback if you want. All right, let's get into it. My only FO, as you can tell, is I finished this Unbearable Hoodie by Le Garçon in Le Garçon yarn. So this is a DK weight sweater knit on, I should have brought the pattern in here, US 6s, and US 6 for the body, and 4 maybe? 4 for like the ribbing and stuff. Right, so where do I start? Oh, the colors are, the main color, so the bears in the body are Meredith's Gray. The hood and flowers are Abador's Water, and the pink contrast color is Kirby's Pink. You all, I have to say, oh, I didn't bring them in here. I have, so of the contrast colors, I only had one ball of the pink. I probably used about half of it. Oh, wait, I have the things in here. So the yarn is Le Garçon, and it's their BFL Twist DK. And that is going to give you 273 yards per 100 grams. So for the contrast, the pink contrast color, I probably had about half, a little, maybe less than half of the ball left. The green, I'm calling it green. It's green. It's like a bluish green. I used a skein and a little, probably a skein and a third. And then the main color I used pretty much 4 skeins to complete. I had like maybe 2 grams left, maybe even less than that. Like it was severe yarn chicken at the ends. Like I did the sleeves, I went back to finish the body, and it was one of those things where I was like, can I do one more row with what's left and the bind off? And something in my spirit was like, you know what? Don't go for it, because you, 1, want this to be done, and 2, you don't want to have to rip back to then like bind off. Which I thought about possibly binding off in one of the contrast colors, but then like that really wasn't the vibe. Since it's a sample knit, I wanted to do it as close to the pattern as possible. So I was like, let me just stop being extra and just bind off. And then I'm so glad that I did, because I literally would have not made it around to complete that extra row. Let's see. I haven't done this in a while. Let's do our roses and thorns. So a few roses for me, literally the bears sitting in flowers, is the color work, I think, turned out okay. I was talking to my friends during knit night, and I showed them, I was like, oh my gosh, you guys, like, it's done. And they're like, it's so weird that you are like questioning your color work, because it always looks so nice. And I don't know what to say about that. Like, I'm always going to question it, because it freaks me out a little bit. Even though I like am at the point now where I enjoy doing it, it's still a little like, ooh, is this going to work? But I think that they turned out pretty well. There's a couple spots that I'm like, this could be better. But I think overall, and I steamed it and showed it on here before, and then I actually gave it a proper soak. And then even with me trying it on, the stitches have just like fallen more into place. And so I think like as a sample, when it's in the shop, if people are putting it on, taking it off, it will definitely like relax more into the position that it's supposed to be. But for the most part, like if I get up a little close, yeah, it looks pretty flat. Like I'm happy. I'm happy with it. The sleeves, just for me personally, I did them a little bit longer so that they would fit my arms. I have long arms. So like I had my roommate try it on, and he's shorter than I am, and like they fall like on his hand a little bit. It was a little more baggy fit on him. But I was like, I just need to see it on someone else and not me looking in a mirror. And it looked great on him. So that was a rose too. Like the color work looks great. I think it's gonna even out a little bit. And yeah, just knitting it was a lot of fun. I think one of the thorns for me is I'm not as comfortable with mattress stitch as I would like to be. And so the neckline and the I can put it on for what? Looking fresh. The what is this called? The brim of the hoodie. Please, sir. Tuppence. You have to mattress stitch down, and then you have to do the same thing here for the closure of the neck. And sorry, I'm making myself laugh because I'm being stupid. The first time I did just the neck part, like the hood looked great. I was like, okay, this is working out pretty well. I'm like going along, watched some tutorials, doing what I need to do. And then this part in the front, I did it and it was horrible. Like, so much so that I finished it and then I was like, I can't even look at that. I finished the body and then I came back to it later. So I unpicked it, which I was nervous about, but then, like, you know, I gently pulled the fabric. I could see where the tail was and just pulled it out. And then I redid it. Like, calm down, be patient, just like really think about what you're doing. And I think now it looks really great. So yeah, mattress stitch is a little bit of a thorn for me. But I think, you know, with more practice, it'll just become more easy, or it'll become easier the more I practice it. Another rose though is on the cuffs and on the hem of the sweater. When I went to bind off, I don't know if you can really tell. When I went to bind off, I was watching, I don't know if you all do this, but I like to watch reruns or older episodes of people's podcasts. Sometimes, like if I'm just, I just like don't know what to watch, or sometimes, you know, that thing of like, if you watch something you've already, like, you know, it can help with anxiety. And so, whatever. I was watching a rerun of I was gonna say a Golden Girls episode, and that's not what I meant at all. I love them. A Grocery Girls episode. I'm a disaster. And Jody was talking about binding off in pattern, but back the other way. So, you know, like if you're knitting around and around and around and then you go to bind off, you would continue going in the same direction that you were. But she was saying she liked the way that the stitches lay when she turns the work and then binds off in the opposite direction. You don't get that little jog at the end where, you know, we all have to fix a little bit, and it just makes it look a little bit cleaner. And so I heard that and I wanted to try it, and I think that the bind off looks pretty boss. Like, I'm just trying to I think this is what, find the camera. Let me do it with this hand. This is where the join is, and like it looks pretty polished to me. So I thought that was definitely a rose for me, trying a new technique, just of some finishing things to make the sweater look as great as it possibly can. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. I hope that the shop is happy with it. Yeah, so hopefully now that I'm showing it to you all, I'll be able to take it over there this weekend. I have like 2 ends right here that I still need to weave in. Yeah, I can take it over to the shop and they can display it or hang it up or do whatever they want to do with it. I'm so happy with it. Oh, and lastly, I knit the size 44, I believe. So that might be like the third size of the pattern. Yeah, so this gave me, I didn't swatch for it, whoopsies. But I think I've said this in the past, like whenever I do one of their patterns, I've done enough now where the gauge I know is gonna be pretty much where it needs to be for it. So I was like, I'm not gonna worry about it. I'm just gonna like knit it and it'll be fine. Yeah, it fits great. It probably gave me about 2 to 3 inches of positive ease. So, I mean, like I'm not wearing it, so it's fine for other people to try on. Yeah, so that's my only FO. I was very monogamous with this because I wanted it done. And it happened. So, woohoo! Another sweater off the needles, and now I can go back to my yesteryears, which I'm really excited about diving back into this week. So hopefully the next episode I will have some progress on that. Yeah, to show you all then. All right, let's talk about some whips. This isn't very much, but I figured I would show them just because. So I was working on my KnitPicks socks. So this is the KnitPicks Felici in the colorway Solstice, and this is 75-25 superwash merino wool and 25% nylon, and it's 218 yards for 50 grams. So I used 2 balls to make my socks, and these are coming along quite fine. Like I had a little bit of time to work on them. I knit mine on US 1 toe up, so I start with a Turkish cast on of 14 wraps, increase to 68 stitches, and then I just knit until I'm content. These matched up, so that's cool. I put in my heel, which I can't remember if I showed you all that last time or not. So I'm hoping to finish right before the gray so that when I cut in, I can start with the gray for the heel. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about these. It's a knit on US 1s. They're coming along quite nicely. I'm still a little iffy about those 2 reds next to each other, but I'm not the dyer, so whatever. Yeah, there's not much to say about these. They're just vanilla socks. I'm enjoying them. I'm waiting for my next mystery yarn club from Woolens And Nosh. Yeah, for this month, so that should be coming soon. And once those get here, like I'll definitely cast those on. They'll probably be here in between episodes, so hopefully by the next time I see you, I'll have cast on the September colorway. Yeah, good times. All right, so those socks, it's whatever. I then, because this sweater got done, I started blocking it. I went back and pulled out, I really feel like I'm missing something, pulled out my Frank shawl by Joji Locatelli. So this was originally designed as a gradient shawl. It's done in 3 sections, and I can show you the first section that I finished. You all, I don't know what happened. I'm gonna have to go back and like watch an older episode, because I don't know why the ball bands aren't in my bag. So I don't remember the color of these 2, but I do know that the yarn is Rose Hill Yarns, and I got the yarn while I was at Knit City, Montreal. So this was the first section. I love the way that it knit up. I think the colors are beautiful. And so the way that I'm doing mine is, so in the pattern, it's like the gradient goes section 1, then this one, like from one way to the other, and I'm doing mine like one side, middle. So it'll go light, medium, dark. Just because I was looking around on Ravelry and I saw someone had done that. I don't remember the colors they used, but I was like, oh, that looks really nice. And it's my knitting, so who's to say that I have to do it in the order that it's written? I can do it however I want. And I think because like this green right here is gonna be the middle, so that means that when I'm wearing it, that'll be more in the front and the lighter colors will be on the sides, just the way that I'll wrap it around to where it's sort of like a scarf. And that makes me happy. So I've pulled this back out and I've started the second section, and this is all on, so this is Rose Hill Yarns. Yeah, as I say it wrong. And this is on their fingering weight, so it's 200, no it's not 200. It's 463 yards for 100 grams, and it's a 75-25. So the main color that's going throughout is this beautiful tonal brown that I'm like very obsessed with. I love the way it knits up. And that now for this section is being paired with, because I do have the tag for this is called Rock Melt. And so it's got some of those colors that the first section has, but they're starting to get a little more saturated, which is really cool. And so I've only spent like maybe an evening. Was it an evening? Maybe I started it one night before I went to bed, just like to get it cast on, and then I sat last night and I took it on the bus with me yesterday actually. I had to teach. Oh no. I had to teach, and I had to teach 2 classes at one school, but there was like an hour and a half gap in between the classes. And so like I brought my socks as like my commute knitting, and then I brought this to work on just like while I had that hour and a half just like sitting around waiting for the next class. Anyway, so I got some done yesterday, and then I did a little bit last night because I wanted something to show you all. So here's where I am with that. So I've started to incorporate that second color in there. Let me not show you all that brown. And I'm really digging it. I think it's gonna be so beautiful. Yeah, with the new colors. This brown is, it makes me want a brownie real bad. Yeah, I think it's beautiful. So that's where I am with that. I'm sure I'll make some lovely progress. And let me move this little marker up now. Progress on it over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, because now I'm not like, well, I'm a little bit rushing to finish this other sweater, but I'm not pressed to rush to finish this other sweater. Like if I don't finish it, it's like whatever. Yeah, so I can take my time working on this, but since it's garter stitch and it's on 6s, 5s, let me see. This is when it gets tricky. It's on, let me stop playing with y'all. It's knit on 5s. Because my eyes were about to lie to me and say that that was on a 6. So these are knit on US 5s, which means that it knits up pretty quickly. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So this is the Frank shawl by Joji Locatelli. I'm excited to be getting back to this. Yeah, just plowing away. I feel like I haven't made many shawls recently, and it's nice to like have this back, you know, in my crafting field of vision, just to plug away and get some work done on it. Woohoo! All right. We had FOs. We had some whips. We had some nays. All right, I do want to chat a little bit about some like things that excited me for future cast-ons. So in the last couple episodes now, I've showed you all the latest issue of Pom Pom magazine, and there's a sweater in there called Prairie Skies. So I know you all, oh my gosh, what's on the front of this book? Whatever, it's fine. I'm sure you all are like, yep, we know, we're tired of seeing you just show it to us. When are you going to start working on it? Soon enough. So this is it. It's a double craft sweater. So the top portion here is crocheted and then the rest of the body is knit. And oh, I don't want to say the designer's name because I don't want to get it wrong. I need to practice and I need to find someone saying it so that I do it justice. But it'll be linked below. It is in the newest issue of Pom Pom, and so if you're better than me, please check it out and put the pronunciation in the comments below. So I went to Wisconsin Sheep and Wool, which there's a little recap video out if you all are interested in watching that. It's up on the channel. It's pretty short. It's like maybe 25 minutes, so perfect for your morning cup of coffee or right before you go to bed with a cup of tea or some adult juice. And I went there with the sole purpose of like, I only want to shop for this one thing, which led me to like I bought one thing, well, 4 things, but there were one thing while I was there, and I just didn't see anything that was really like jumping out at me like, yes, this is gonna be the sweater. Mind you, there was tons of beautiful stuff there. I'm looking for a more rustic yarn, a non-superwash, and they definitely had that, and they had like gorgeous things. I actually took my roommate and one of my really good friends, I like took them to 2 different booths to like compare these 2 colors, and they were just kind of like, yeah, they're good, but like, is it what you really want? And I'm like, well, I don't know. So I ended up not getting anything. But when I got home, I was thinking, why don't you look to see if you have something in stash that you can use? And if you remember, I made, for those of you who have been here, I made the Wrong Side sweater by Maxim Cyr, and I used the Pluto Lopi, whatever, the unspun yarn fiber to make that sweater. I held it double, which when I was reading online and like trying to do some research for it, it said that would give you more of a worsted weight gauge or the gauge of like the Let Lopi. But if you held it single, you could probably get like a DK Sport, DK Sport, on like, various things or whatever. So I decided that because I had about 3 plates of it left, maybe a little bit more. So this is how it comes. This was in the color Cosmos. I got this from Webs, and I really enjoyed working with it. It is very rustic. If you don't like things that are very itchy next to your skin, you would definitely have to wear something under this. I don't mind, so just a t-shirt is okay for me. And so I pulled this out since I had some of it, and I was like, let me just like do an experiment and do a swatch with it. So the pattern calls for you to do 2 swatches, one of the crocheted motif and then one just to get your gauge for the stockinette of the body. And so that is what I did. So here's it's so tiny. Here's my crocheted little granny square for it, which I kind of, let me put it a little bit closer. I kind of like the way if I do this, does that do anything? It doesn't. The crochet looks in this. And then I also swatched just holding it on its own, so it's a little see-through, but that's okay. I'll wear it. I'm gonna have a t-shirt on underneath. And this is just the fabric that it made holding it single. It's very light. It's very light. And I thought that even holding it double for the wrong side, yes, it made it a little bit heavier, but I still thought that that was pretty light. So for the stockinette portion, so that's knit on a US 7, I believe, knitting needle. Let me double check that for you. The gauge is, yeah, so it's 18 stitches over 4 inches on US 7, so a 4.5 millimeter. And then the crochet part is, you should be getting 3.25 inches of the square before and after blocking, and that's on a 4 millimeter or USG crochet hook. And for the stockinette, I'm bang on. Like, yes, the gauge is great. And then for the granny square, I ended up being like the 1/4 inch short of what it's supposed to be. So these only ended up being about 3 inches. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another swatch of the granny square, because literally it's 3 rounds, and this took me like no time at all. And I'm just going to go up a hook size and see what that gauge gives me. So yeah, I think that for that sweater that I was like, oh, I want to buy something for it because I didn't think that I had it in stash. Yeah, now I can. And I'll just need, I think I need to weigh out the 2 plates that are already open, or discs that are already open, to see how much they weigh, so then I can figure out how much yardage-ish I have. But I think I may be able to get away with doing the whole sweater and only buying 1 more plate to finish it. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be just shy of the required amount, but that's so cool. I'm like, oh, I loved working with this, and now I get to use it again in a different sweater that I think is gonna be pretty dope. And yeah, I don't have to I do have to spend a little bit of money, but not as much money as if I were to buy an entire sweater quantity. You know what I mean? So that was great. So that was a fun little, let's try to work with what you have, because you just weren't finding what you needed or what you wanted at the time. And I already know, not my chapstick falling, I already know that I enjoyed working with the yarn already. And so yeah, it'll just make for another great sweater that will look different. I'm interested to see how different it will look knit holding just 1 strand versus 2, if that makes sense. And also a crocheted portion of it, All right, the second thing, little experiment that I did was, I don't know how I came across my feed in Ravelry. I think I was just looking up sweaters, as one does. If that's something that you enjoy making, right? Is sometimes you just sit and you daydream and you peruse what's out there. And so I found this pattern. Maybe I was looking up short sleeves. I found this pattern, and I'll put a picture in here. It's called the Seaside Tee by Cheryl. Last name begins with an M. It'll be linked below. And I was like, oh, this is super cute. I like the detail of the shoulders. I've only knit one other sweater that had I don't know what that's called, where you it's not a, it's like a raglan, but not, where you do the sleeves sort of evenly and you're only increasing on either side, Someone out there will know what it's called. Just put it in the comments, and thank you to whoever you are in the future that's writing that. So I misread the details of it, and I thought that it was knit in worsted, and so I bought it and then found out that it possibly is knit in DK, and that it was knit in a linen cotton. And so that's not what I had. So I have had this, is it Fonty Tartan 6 in stash. I bought it a couple years ago at a sidewalk sale, from a like knit craft store that's like close to me up in Evanston Stitchworks, and I bought a bunch of it because I thought that I was gonna make the, what is it called, painting bricks sweater using it. And you all, I don't think these have colors. I've looked and I don't see anything, and so I'm gonna say that they don't. Anyway, these are 100% wool, and I bought, oh my gosh, I bought them in these colors. So, like pumpkin-y rust, pumpkin spice latte, orange, beautiful like bluish gray, this fun like sagey green, and this like Merlot color, right? I was like, oh, this would be so cute as the painted bricks. Then somewhere down the line, I decided that those colors, and I had one other one, and it just, over time of me like not casting it on and really thinking about it, it didn't speak to me in the way that I thought that it would in making that sweater. And so I just decided that that sweater is gonna be made when the yarn becomes available that I think that it needs to be in. And so I saw this tee, and while it is written just as two different colors, I'm like, oh, I've been seeing a lot of people do these fun striped sweaters, but with the main color. Let me look at the yardage that I have. I have 3 of them, and these are, one second, they're 50-gram balls, and they have 70 meters for 50 grams. So I don't know how many yards that is, but it's something. And so I have 3 of each color. And then I had some of this fisherman's wool just in stash that is in like a brown heather color. So this is just like, you know, Lion Brand. This is 100% wool. And these are 8 ounces, so 227 grams, so 465 yards or 425 meters of wool. And so with all those combined, I think I have enough. I think that the different colors, some places I was looking, they said that that was a worsted. Other places I was looking said that it was a DK. So I decided to take them all and just make a swatch to see if I would get gauged for this sweater. It's knit on US 4s. So I was like, okay, let me just try. Let me see what the fabric looks like, and we'll go from there. So I did this swatch in the round. That's not true. I did some of it flat, and then I did a lot of it in the round, and then I finished doing it flat. Now, the reason I did that is because the beginning of the pattern, when I was reading through it, you start knitting flat to do like your neck and short row shaping, and then you connect them to then start the rest of the sweater. So then you start going in the round. So I wanted to see what my gauge was for both of those, and just to see if I would even be getting close. So here's what the swatch looks like using all of them. I think it looks really cute, if I do say so myself. So this is the order in which I knit them in, because I thought that I would start with, kind of go light to dark-ish. So start with the green and then work my way down. Excuse me. For this, you're supposed to be getting 22 stitches for every 4 inches, and I'm getting 21 21 mostly, sometimes 20 in a couple spots that I measured on this. And so I think I'm just gonna go for it. Like, it is worsted weight, so it's a little bit heavier. Because the pattern is not as size inclusive as one would like I am gonna be doing the extra large size, and that is for like a 46-inch chest. And then there's only one other size after that, which I think is like a 52. I'm like, oh, this is kind of too bad. But I think because my gauge is a little bit looser, it'll give me the fit that I want in it being sort of like a sweater tee. It'll give me just a little bit more positive ease and room to play with just in case. So I don't want to go, first of all, I'm not going down to a 3. That's not happening. But I think doing it on a 4 will be fine. And then the ribbing, I think it's supposed to be done on a 1. That's probably not happening either. So there's a little bit of play that I'm going to have to do with just working around it. Regardless, I do think that the colors are great. But once I was done, I was looking at it this way on like my mats, and I think this is going to be the colors. What is that called? Order is going from the dark gray down to the light. So these two colors are still going to be next to each other. It would just be in the opposite order, and I think that's the way to go. So yeah, I mean, I know folks don't like swatching because it's like, well, I could just be like knitting the thing already. But for me, this was helpful because I could see how the colors played together and if I liked the order. Because the pattern is DK and I'm going to use a worsted, like what is that gauge so I don't completely, go off the rails with it. And so it was helpful for me at least. And now that I know that I'm going to be a little bit bigger and I don't mind the fabric, I think that this is going to work out perfectly. So that's that on that. I think that's it for this episode. I don't have a music rec for you all this episode, but there definitely will be one for the next one. I just, in running around trying to gather things today, it completely slipped my mind. But continue leaving me things in the comments for like genres you would like to hear more of, and I will continue going through my record collection so that I can pull those for you, or just like recommend some things that I have that I think people would like to groove out to. Yeah, and I think that's it. Thanks, y'all. I hope I'm not wrong. This is the end of our 3 years. That's so crazy. So next episode, bring your party hats and your streamers, noisemakers, and yeah, we're gonna have a little mini party. I don't know what that means by we're having a party. It's literally gonna be the same thing, except it'll have a special title. Anyway, I hope you all continue to take care of yourselves. Officially, for us in the Northern Hemisphere, enjoy fall since it will actually be here. I'm definitely seeing leaves on the ground around where I am, and while I am sad to see summer go, because that means that I cannot get in the lake as often, there is something nice about waking up in the morning and taking Kendrick for a walk in a hoodie and shorts, and it being a little crisp in the air. I'm not gonna lie, I do love it. Like, our season as crafters is coming. Yeah, and I hope everybody's embracing that. So continue making all the things, and I hope you all have a lovely 2 weeks. And until I see you all next time, make a piece, spread some peace. Peace.